Hello, beautiful cyclists. Today we have two fantastic, pretty cool brands with their latest models, and I'm going to compare them. The Tenways CGO600 Plus and the Cowboy Cruiser. Both brands are regular guests on the YouTube channel of Two Wheels Good, and both brands have a lot of common, especially those two models, the CGO600 Plus and the Cruiser bike, but they also have a lot of different features, different advantages and different disadvantages. Well, the CGO600 Plus has the extra plus in the motor because regular the Tenways e-bikes have 40 Newton meters of torque, and that measures how powerful the motor is. But the Plus has the extra plus, it has 45 Newton meters, as well as the Cruiser bike. But here comes the but. Cowboy always, I think even the first model they launched years back, had 45 Newton meters, and the Cowboy bikes are always very sportive, very powerful. So the moment you touch the pedal, you get the extra boost from the back and you really feel the whole acceleration. Whereas the CGO600 Plus, you can choose the different modes of pedal assistance, and even if you want to maybe exercise a bit more, you do have the option because you can choose between the different modes of pedal assistance. Both motors are located in the rear hub. This is an own production. Before Tenways had Maiweiss motors, but this is the first own production, and Cowboy has also an own production in the rear hub. So from what I read and I experienced, both motors are very reliable, and having a motor in the rear hub gives you rather a feeling of being pushed. But due to the fact that both have a torque sensor, it feels very natural because a torque sensor measures how hard you push the pedal, and the harder you push the pedal, the more support you get. So for example, if you do have an incline, you probably push harder into the pedal and get more support, or if you want to cycle faster. But here comes definitely a super smart system that Cowboy offers. It is the adaptive power. And the adaptive power measures up to 200 times per second how you behave on your pedal. And therefore it can tell, are there inclines, do you want to go faster, do you want to go slower, and therefore it has effects on, of course, how you pedal and how much support you get, but also it is important for the range of the battery. Because Cowboy says, due to this adaptive power system, you can extend the range of the battery up to 25%. And that is quite cool. Both batteries can be taken out. That is pretty cool because then you do have the highest flexibility concerning the charging of the bike. But both also offer 360 watt-hours, plus 25% with the adaptive power system of the Cowboy Cruiser. The range, really very difficult to say. Well, the manufacturers say it's probably between 40 and 60 kilometers, but of course it depends on how heavy you are, where you do cycle. Do you have a lot of inclines? Is there a lot of wind? Is it maybe winter and it's colder, and colder temperatures of course lower the range of and the capacity of a battery, but also how heavy you are. Both bikes are, in my opinion, superb for commuters because the Cowboy bike has a rear carrier, but you also can have one for the CGO600 Plus, so then you can put a basket or some bags. So both absolutely cool if you want to carry stuff around, like groceries or everything you need if you want to go to work. Both bikes have in common that the sitting position is quite upright and comfortable, and that is pretty new for the Cowboy bike because most of the Cowboy bikes, except the step-through models, offer a rather sportive sitting position, whereas due to the new handlebars and the whole new cockpit situation, you sit more upright because the handlebars are bent, and as you can see, there is definitely more space than from the other models from Cowboy that we've had on the channel so far. Whereas in the DNA of Tenways, as their origin is located in the Netherlands. They always had the Dutch bike-inspired frame geometry. So definitely for both, more upright sitting position. But Tenways, with the Tenways CGO600 Plus, you can adjust the sitting position because you can adjust the handlebars and the A-head. Very different, of course, is the design, and in my opinion very iconic because it was very disruptive, is the design of the cowboy bike. Because for me it's a design icon, I have to say. If you compare those two bikes, in my opinion, I know it's very individual, but definitely the cowboy bike wins. They do have something in common concerning the design, because at least the front lights are integrated in the frames, with the Tenways as well as with the cowboy bike. The cowboy also integrates sort of into the frame because the rear light is integrated into the battery, and the battery is part of the frame, so to say. Whereas the rear light of the Tenways, it's on the rear fender. And here comes the big difference. I really have to talk to Cowboy, because up to now I do not understand why their lights are not compliant for the German laws. So every time you order or buy a cowboy bike, you get extra lights, a front light and a rear light that you of course can charge via USB, which is pretty cool, but you have to attach them on the bike. So if you want to go out in Hamburg, you can't leave your lights on the bike because when you return, they will be gone. And if you do have an e-bike, I don't get it. Why? Whereas the Tenways lights, they're super sufficient, you don't need anything else. Also, a difference, if you have a closer look, the CGO600 Plus has a regular chain with 8 gears from Shimano, and even when I was cycling without the motor, so without any support, the 8 gears gave me such a good range that I was like, it was super easy to ride, rather comfortable and not so fast. But also, as I had to go to an appointment and I was really late, I even tried to be faster than 25 and even 30 kilometers, and it worked pretty well with the Tenways CGO600 Plus. Also, a regular chain, that's new for Tenways, because before Tenways was only offering belt drives. Belt drives are very typical for cowboy bikes. They use Gates belt drives, the CDX, which is like the best you can get. And the belt drive has a lot of advantages because it lasts up to 3 times longer than regular chain, so up to 30,000 kilometers. And it needs no attention at all, so you don't have to put grease or oil on it. And even if it's like super, super dirty, then you just take a damp cloth and clean the belt. But this bike has only 1 gear, so it's a single speed. And in my opinion, the single speed times are over. The gear or the transmission that Cowboy did choose for this bicycle is rather tough, I would say, because you do need a lot of power in your legs. So it's like when you drive without the motor, you really have to push really hard into the pedal to get this bicycle going. So definitely, but I mean, this is the whole concept of Cowboy. It's for rather sportive people, even though they offer now a very upright and more comfortable sitting position with the Cruiser. Also, one difference that I prefer is that you do have reflective stripes in the tires of the Tenways, whereas here you have to put the reflectors in the spokes to be compliant with the German law. Also, a really big difference is the smartness. You do have a little display here on the handlebars with the Tenways CGO600 Plus, and it has some sort of theft control, because you have to enter an individual 4-digit number. And with a little display you see all the information you need, how the battery is charged, what mode of pedal assist you're in, because this bicycle has different modes of pedal assistance, and you can switch on and off the lights.
Tenways also offers an app where you do have, of course, all your data recorded, and you do have an in-app navigation. And also, of course, there are the different modules for the after-sales support.
But the Cowboy, of course, offers a lot of smartness with their own app. You can see the adaptive power, you see how the battery is charged, you do have a navigation system, and the cool thing is that you can put your mobile phone, which is like your display, on the handlebars, and it charges wireless, which is pretty cool in my opinion. The only thing that I don't like is that actually the case is not a universal one, so you have to buy a case that fits your mobile phone. But if you're concerned that your bike could be stolen, and also Cowboy offers sort of a lock in the rear hub. So the moment you want to move the bike, then it blocks and you have to carry your Cowboy. But I would always recommend, or the thief has to carry your bike, but I always of course recommend to use an extra lock. And maybe some other, for me, very important detail is that both bikes have internal cable routing. So as you can see, all the cables go into the frame and disappear. But in my opinion, Cowboy did absolutely a better job. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is the price, because this bicycle, the CGO600 Plus from Tenways, costs 1,799 euros. They're always promotions, so I would recommend check out the website and maybe follow them on the different social media channels. And the Cowboys become more expensive. It costs 3,499 euros. I know there was a time when it costs a bit less than 3,000 euros, so also check out their website, maybe follow them on Instagram, and also subscribe to their newsletter. But definitely, I mean, it is worth, in my opinion. You pay more for a different quality and also, of course, for a really cool brand. But that's definitely a big difference. But two very interesting, cool bikes if you want to commute, definitely something if you want to arrive in style.